Welcome, Gemini, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 8th of June for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share with you the big themes of the week first. On the screen is your event chart as you come into the week. That always provides an important backdrop. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. By the end of the video, you'll have a clearer picture of what's upcoming in terms of your energy, work, relationships, or finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell and notification symbol. So as we go into the week, the moon, very much to do with our emotions, is right at the top of your chart. Therefore, your feelings could be close to the surface this week, not least because the moon will clash with the sun in your sign on Monday. So we have a Pisces quarter moon. With Uranus newly arrived in your sign, you're really being encouraged to seize the moment when it comes to being really individual and in touch with your unique talents. But of course, people are used to you being a certain way, and there can be a pinch point this week as Uranus clashes with the nodal axis. However, on Tuesday, there is the chance for some real serendipity when it comes to your finances. Because Venus, the planet of money, and Jupiter, the planet of fortune, and both known as benefics, reach a climax in the conjunction that's been building up, you may have actually already had some good news in this regard. But the other thing this combination could do is perhaps tempt you to splash out a little bit, but equally you could be very generous to someone you care for. Now, later this week, Venus is going to be moving into the chattest part of your chart, but in the charismatic Leo. In the following 3 or 4 weeks, you could have some sensational connections, and it may be to someone new. On the screen is your event chart, and there's the sun and Uranus in your sign, and there's the moon at the top of your chart. Just in terms of your ruler Mercury, it does continue its long journey through the sign of Cancer, which goes on through to August the 9th. And talking of Mercury, as this week goes on, it does come into a crunching right angle with the position of Saturn. Although Venus's conjunction with Jupiter, which becomes precise on Tuesday, can bring that good fortune. If you have been perhaps very generous to someone, but perhaps have become rather disenchanted by their lack of appreciation, the tension around that can amp up as this week goes on because Mercury moves forwards and squares with Saturn. So around your alliances, friendships, and long-term future, I think the chances are over the next couple of years, there is going to be a bit of a turning over. There will be new people coming in, and some of the real solid citizens will hang around, but some of the more fair weather friends could be revealed. But that quarter moon on Monday, with the sun here as the moon moves forwards, does suggest that that single-mindedness that you've been showing of late might not meet with approval with every person. And that also can become more obvious when Uranus reaches the exact moment of its T-square with the nodal axis on Friday. It's known as nodal bending. Uranus is the out point. So if you feel around your work or your connections to the world or around your emotional world that you're not able to be truly uniquely yourself, that's where the tension can be created. But as the week goes on, Venus does move into Leo. Now, if you are a social creature, a lot of Geminis clearly are, but not everyone. It's going to be the case that over the following 3 or 4 weeks, there's going to be lots of buzzy interactions. And of course, as we get to the end of June, Jupiter, the planet of opportunity, moves into that quick moving third house of yours for the following year. So your ideas, your personality get a wonderful chance to be animated in the following 13 months. So I'm going to summarize those 4 areas of energy, work, relationships and finances next. But just to say, I've slashed the price of my personal horoscope reports. It was, for many years, buy two, 30% off. Now it's buy one and get three. Why? Because of the cost of living increases. I want to do my bit. So the one you pay for is your life roadmap report. And that's really important. It helps us to understand the patterns that are played out in our lives so far, but also know how to work with that energy better future forwards. Free is your 12 months transit forecast, but also your draconic soul karmic analysis, which if you haven't got your North Node natally late in Pisces or early in Aries, can be very different to your natal chart. It helps us to look at astrology, life, and ourselves in a very different and sometimes very profound way. Please see the link below for more. If you've yet to watch your Chiron into Taurus, that's a Chiron 50-year return, starting the journey back in Taurus. That's on the screen. If you've yet to watch your June monthly forecast on the screen, if you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be a pleasure. Please check out my testimonials below. And if you've yet to sign up for your free daily written horoscope, fire to your device each morning so you can have your early day celestial pit stop, you can sign up for that below too. So to summarize those areas, energy. I think your energy at the moment can be affected a lot, really, by the South Node. The South Node can be your emotional world. This is obviously for Geminis generally, not necessarily in your personal natal chart. But that South Node position may be where you feel most comfortable. It can be your routines. It can be what you're most familiar with. It can be that maybe at times you can be a bit critical, but it is clashing with Uranus this week and the North Node. So if something around your worldly interaction or your need for emotional nurture isn't quite working with this more revolutionary energy that's showing up in your sign, there could be a pinch point this week again, which may have an impact on your vitality. As far as your professional situation is concerned, if you do work in a corporate environment, I think that might become a bit more challenging because of the moon and the North Node at the top of your chart. If you are feeling this, spark of energy to be really in touch with what makes you individual and therefore very creative, much more difficult to fit into something that's stodgy and where the expectation is quite rigid. However, if you're doing something that's much more exciting, whether it is to do with a knowledge based, it could be to do with technology, it may be to do with teaching, training, it may be to do with publishing. Wow, what an exciting time this can continue to be. But just know that when it comes to your finances, although Venus and Jupiter are in that delicious conjunction, which peaks on Tuesday, and can make you very generous, or it could have seen or will see, as it becomes exact, some good fortune coming in, because Mercury, the planet of commerce, is in a square with Saturn as the week goes on. I don't think it's good to mix business with pleasure. I know that's easy to say because we actually think back, particularly if we work for ourselves, very often the people we do work with, we really like. Um, but I think if there's like some investment going in, or we want people to really put their money where their mouth is, I don't necessarily think that things are quite so good this week. But if you do want to just be a bit more free and easy with the resources you've got and you can afford it, you may treat yourself to something really quite lush. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Gemini. Have a great week. All the best and goodbye.